This initiation ceremony today is being performed on a very auspicious day, the appearance day of Lord Nrsimha Dev on this planet. In all the Vedic scriptures, it is explained that one must take shelter of a bona fide spiritual master in order to make spiritual advancement. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is explained that birth from the womb of the mother, this is common both to human beings and to animals. But only through this human form of life can one cultivate spiritual consciousness. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Tad vidi pranipatena paripashena sevaya upagdikshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshina. So according to the Vedic philosophy, one accepts a bona fide spiritual master for securing spiritual guidance. And even the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself gave the example because he also accepted a spiritual master. Lord Shri Krishna, he accepted Sandipani Muni as a spiritual master, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also accepted Ishvara Puri as a spiritual master. One obtains guidance from the bona fide spiritual master, which is based on the scriptures, to make progress on the journey back to Godhead. Krishna is unlimited, and he appears in many, many different transcendental forms. To understand Krishna, one has to make an effort. It is not that one can be casual and hope to understand Krishna. For example, who could ever conceive that God can appear as half lion, half man? Hiranyakashipu thought that he was very smart. So he tried his best to get a promise from the Lord that he may become deathless. But the Lord kept the promise of his devotee Brahma intact and still annihilated Hiranyakashipu. Of course, to be annihilated by the Lord is a great fortune. But the appearance of Lord Nrsimha Dev shows how the Lord is inconceivable and how the Lord is transcendental in every situation. So we should meditate on Lord Nrsimha Dev. We should meditate on the inconceivable qualities of God. We should meditate on the various transcendental forms of the Lord. And we should meditate how the Lord incarnates to protect his devotee. And this meditation will purify us. In order to make spiritual advancement, one must have faith in the scriptures and the spiritual master and the sadhus. The initiation ceremony in which many of you are participating today, it signifies your desire to follow the instructions of the Lord as it is coming down through the disciplic succession. A disciple takes the initiation ceremony seriously because in this initiation ceremony, the disciple agrees to follow certain minimum spiritual standards, and the spiritual master agrees to give guidance so that the disciple can go back to Godhead. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was talking to Haridas Thakur, he expressed great concern at the plight of the mlechas who were bent upon living in the material world. This anxiety of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually the anxiety that the Supreme Lord has for all the conditioned souls who are rotting in the material world. That is why the Lord descends, and that is why the Lord sends his representatives from time to time. And that is why the Lord also sent Srila Prabhupada to take this Krishna consciousness to every corner of the world. So we have to be serious about Krishna consciousness. We must understand that our eternal Father, the Supreme Lord, is not happy to see us rot in the material world. And if we are serious about Krishna consciousness, then the Lord will reciprocate. In order to make spiritual advancement, one must take shelter of the Hare Krishna mantra. The Hare Krishna mantra is the greatest asset. As the Chaitanya Charitamrita says, we should tie the holy name to the tongue. So, devotees of this Krishna conscious movement, they have instructions from Prabhupada that they must chant 16 rounds a day, follow 4 regulative principles. We chant 16 rounds a day and 25 rounds on auspicious days. We follow 4 regulative principles. No meat, fish and eggs, no intoxication, no illicit sex life, no gambling. Because unless we abstain from sinful activities, there is no question of making spiritual advancement. God is all pure. And in order to understand the all pure personality, we also have to become pure. So it is said in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhau janma kare yadi shravana kirtana tabutana paya Krishna pade prema dhana. One may go on chanting the names of Krishna birth after birth, but if one does not learn to chant, avoiding the 10 offenses, then he will not be able to make spiritual advancement. So one must be very careful that one avoids the 10 offenses. So the first offense is to blaspheme those who have dedicated lives for propagating the holy names of the Lord. In the material world, our activities are often motivated by envy. And as a result, the tendency to fall, find, criticize is paramount. But a devotee on the spiritual path understands that by criticizing and fault-finding, one will be digging his own spiritual grave. Therefore, one avoid this Vaishnava aparadh. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has described this as the mad elephant offense. Just like a mad elephant can destroy everything, similarly, unnecessary criticism and fault-finding can destroy all the gains of chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. A Vaishnava is respectful to all Vaishnavas. It is not that one should only be respectful to one spiritual master and other sannyasis and all other Vaishnavas we can disregard. Anybody who chants Hare Krishna mantra should be respected. One should be very careful in his dealings with other Vaishnavas. We should not take devotional service for granted. We should not think that doesn't matter what I do, devotional service will always stay with me. The holy name will always stay on my tongue. Our offensive attitude can take the holy name away from us. The second offense is to consider names of demigods to be equal to or independent of the holy names of Lord Vishnu. This is not a big problem in your country. It's a big problem in countries like India, where people think demigods and the Supreme Lord are all on the same level. The demigods are subordinate to the Supreme Lord. Demigods derive their power from the Supreme Lord. The demigods themselves glorify the Supreme Lord as the cause of all causes. Lord Brahma said, Govinda Madi Purusham Tamam Aham Bhajami. That Govinda, you are the original cause of all causes. And Lord Brahma also said, the foolish people think that I am the cause, but I am not the cause. You are the cause. The third offense is to disobey the instructions of the spiritual master or to consider the spiritual master an ordinary person. What is the qualification of a spiritual master? He should be in parampara. He should be initiated by a bona fide spiritual master. He should set an example of purity. He should preach according to Shastra and Guru. And he should have an ideal Vaishnava behavior. So the spiritual master is the transparent via media. What does it mean? Just like these glasses are the transparent via media through which I can see. So similarly, the spiritual master, we see through his instructions. Shastras chakshus, we see through the scriptures. But how do you understand the scriptures? You understand the scriptures with the help of the acharyas. That is why Prabhupada wrote the commentary on all the books. And in the commentary he also incorporated the salient points of the commentaries of all the other great acharyas. He also incorporated the salient points of the commentaries of all the other great acharyas. And the spiritual master takes on the commentary of the previous acharya and the other previous acharyas and explains this in a practical way to all disciples and devotees. One should not expect the spiritual master to be some type of a magician. Sometimes people think the spiritual master is some type of magician. Like people used to ask Prabhupada in India sometimes, Swamiji, can you do miracles? Prabhupada said, no. One miracle I've done. I've converted thousands of lectures into brahmanas. So basically, the spiritual master is just a postman. Just like the postman, he just delivers the letter to you. Similarly, the spiritual master transmits the pure message as it is coming down to the parampara. And if the message is transmitted in a pure way, then the message will have great potency. And if the message is diluted, then it will have no potency. Prabhupada's secret of success was, 1, his firm faith in the words of his guru. 2, his firm faith that what Krishna has said is a real truth which doesn't need to be adulterated or adjusted. So this firm faith is a must. It is said in the scriptures, one who has firm faith in the instructions of the spiritual master and Krishna, all the purport of the Vedas are revealed. So this firm faith comes as we advance spiritually. When the disciple is in a neophyte stage, he doesn't always understand the instructions of the spiritual master. But if we have faith, and as a result of that faith that we follow, then we'll make advancement. And as we make advancement, we'll understand the spiritual master more and more. The business of the spiritual master is to guide and correct the discrepancies in the disciple. It is not the business of the spiritual master just to flatter the disciple. Sometimes disciples think spiritual master will just flatter me. But that is not the business of the spiritual master. And the disciple should be anxious to be corrected. Otherwise, how will his faults be discovered? As it is said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Yasya prasada bhagavad prasada yasya prasada nagati kutopi. One pleases the spiritual master, then one pleases Krishna. And then one displeases the spiritual master, then one displeases Krishna. In our Krishna conscious movement, there are several spiritual masters preaching the philosophy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as explained by Srila Prabhupada. We're all deriving our knowledge from the same source, Prabhupada and Prabhupada's books and Krishna and the Vedic literature. And we are preaching what we have learned from Prabhupada. We are not supposed to add anything or minus anything. We emphasize the instructions which Prabhupada emphasized. Prabhupada emphasized the instructions because his spiritual master emphasized. And in this way we can trace back the original emphasis coming from Krishna. Just for example, there's so much emphasis on preaching and book distribution in our movement. Because Krishna himself emphasized the importance of preaching. That is why all spiritual masters have also emphasized this. So in our Krishna conscious movement, one must understand the unique position of Srila Prabhupada. Just like Vyasadeva compiled the vast Vedic literature, just like what Vyasadeva is the cause of all the Vedic literature, Prabhupada is the cause and the source of all the instructions that we follow and execute and communicate. And since we have faith in what Prabhupada said is the same as what Krishna desires, by following what Prabhupada has said, as we heard it from the spiritual master, one makes spiritual advancement. So as the founder Acharya of ISKCON, Prabhupada has a very unique position, and that should never be compromised or overlooked. The disciple should be fully surrendered to the instructions of his spiritual master, but also be respectful to all other spiritual masters and all senior Vaishnavas. One should not think, I'll just be respectful to my spiritual master and the others I don't really care. Nor is the spiritual master pleased by such an attitude, nor is Krishna pleased by such an attitude. So, with firm faith, we should carry out the orders of the spiritual master. Thakur Bhaktivinoda has very nicely explained that just like one cannot separate the body from the soul, the disciple cannot separate his life from the instructions of the spiritual master. What is the principal desire of the spiritual master? To see the disciple make spiritual advancement. It gives the spiritual master great pleasure to see the disciple making spiritual advancement. And it gives the spiritual master great pain when he sees the disciple is not making spiritual advancement. Prabhupada used to say that Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, his spiritual master, he would cry when an initiated disciple would be pulled into Maya. Because the spiritual master has genuine concern for the welfare of the disciple, not our artificial bodily concern. Therefore, one should be serious about taking the spiritual master's instructions to heart. Meditate on Prabhupada's example, how he followed his spiritual master's instruction. In the very first meeting, Prabhupada's spiritual master told him, take this Krishna consciousness to the Western countries. Prabhupada was in the householder situation, but still, he was just meditating. How can I carry out the orders of the spiritual master? This was constant meditation. In the end, he succeeded. Faith in the spiritual master is essential for spiritual advancement. The nature of the mind is to accept and reject. Like something today, hate something tomorrow. So this should be avoided. You must know that the material mind is always cheating. So don't become a disciple of your mind. Rely on the instructions of the purified mind, namely Krishna and the spiritual master. Then the next offense is to consider the Vedic literature to be compiled by some ordinary person, or not consider the Puranas to be part of the Vedic family. The Vedas were compiled by Vyasadeva, who is none else but the incarnation of Lord Shri Krishna. The word Veda means knowledge. So this is eternal knowledge, true for eternity. Therefore, we must have full faith that we must not think, oh, the Vedic knowledge is restricted to people of India, or it was practical, thousands of years ago, but today, modern 20th century Russia, it's not practical. We should not doubt the value of the Vedic knowledge. And we must also know that Vedic knowledge is not sectarian. It is not for people of a particular country, but it is for the entire humanity, because Krishna is the eternal Father of the entire humanity. And the Puranas are also known as the supplementary Vedas. And the Puranas were also compiled by whom? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. So we should not think Srimad Bhagavatam is not part of the Vedic family, or Srimad Bhagavatam was not compiled by Vyasadeva. We should not interpret the holy names, nor should we consider the glories of the holy name to be an exaggeration. The glories of the holy name is not an exaggeration. The holy name is alone capable of delivering us back to Godhead. The holy name is a special medicine for civilization of Kali Yuga, for self-realization. So we must get attached to the holy name. We should not think that the glories of the holy name is an exaggeration. We should not doubt the potency of the holy name. Nor should we give our own interpretation to the words of the holy name. We should not think by chanting the holy name some other benefit will come. At the time Prabhupada started this movement in America, there was one very famous American poet, Allen Ginsberg, who started chanting Hare Krishna and meeting Prabhupada regularly. So Allen Ginsberg said, by the chanting of Hare Krishna, you produce more hydrogen in the body, and that becomes the cause of ecstasy. So that's not our understanding. When you chant Hare Krishna, there's going to be extra hydrogen in the body, and that's why we laugh and smile and dance. Don't give your own interpretation to the chanting of the holy name. The holy name is an address to the Lord. Oh Lord, please engage me in devotional service. Please engage me in devotional service. Then the next offense is to commit sins on the strength of chanting. We should not commit sins on the strength of chanting. Devotee does not think, I'm chanting Hare Krishna, so I'm accumulating so much pious credits. Now I can commit sinful activities. Devotee is very careful, so he doesn't commit sinful activities on the strength of chanting. Devotee's desire is to serve without expecting anything in return. So a devotee doesn't want anything from the Lord in return. So our desire should be to serve without expecting anything in return. Now if a devotee is thinking, I'm initiated now, I'm Brahmin now, I've been chanting for 5 years, now all my sinful activities have been wiped out, so now I can go and commit fresh sins. In every initiation ceremony, Prabhupada would say that this is the most serious of all offenses, to commit sins on the strength of chanting. So we should be very careful that we don't become a liability on the spiritual master Krishna. We should be very careful, cautious in every action that we execute. Rupa Goswami has said, one should execute what is helpful for spiritual advancement and refrain from what is unhelpful for spiritual advancement. What is helpful? The instructions of the Guru, Sadhu and Krishna. What is unhelpful? The instructions of the mind, material friends, material relatives, especially when their advice is contrary to what Krishna says. So please be careful about this. Don't commit sins on the strength of chanting. Don't think, now I'm an initiated devotee, now I can be proud, arrogant, do my own way, I don't have to follow authorities. In ISKCON, there's a certain structure under which we all live and work. Every temple has a temple president, then there's a GBCs. So one must work in cooperation with the authorities appointed by Prabhupada. Because if one works in cooperation, then one will be able to make spiritual advancement. Prabhupada did not like independent devotees. He didn't like devotees who would do their own thing and not consult or not act under any supervision. For ISKCON as a society to run smoothly, it is important that every devotee cooperates with his authorities in pushing on Prabhupada's movement. We should not consider the chanting of the holy name as some type of karma kanda activity. Karma kanda is a sort of business transaction with the Lord. It's a business transaction. I'll do this for you, Lord, but in exchange, I want this. Many people perform Vedic rituals, treated like a business, but their goal is to get some material benefit in exchange. So a devotee should be very careful that he should not think that chanting Hare Krishna is meant to give me material advancement. Sometimes people say, oh, I'm initiated. Why is my business not going well? Why am I falling sick? Why are my children falling sick? What's wrong with this initiation? Don't expect any material benefit from initiation. Krishna may on his own give you a palace to live in. But devotee doesn't think, I'm chanting, so now I must get this in exchange. Then one should not preach the glories of the holy name to the faithless. Krishna preached the Bhagavad Gita not to the demons, but to his devotees. He spoke the Bhagavad Gita to whom? To Arjuna, his eternal devotee and companion. But the devotee of the Lord is so compassionate that he freely goes and distributes this knowledge, and including to demons. So one may freely distribute this knowledge, but the secrets of the holy name may be revealed only when one has developed some level of faith in the holy name. Just like if anybody was to ask you, Kakwa Zavud, you'll tell you Minya Zavud and your name. But you won't tell him your secret. Obviously, when you go on the Harinam, you can't identify who's a devotee, who's not a devotee. You can't say, okay, non-devotees, please go. You can't listen to the holy name. It's only for devotees. So you preach the glories of the holy name to everyone, but the deep significance of the holy name may be revealed only when one is developing some faith in the holy name. Then the last offense is to maintain a material attachment in spite of chanting the holy names of Krishna. Why do we come to spiritual life? You come to spiritual life to give up your material attachments. Why do you give up your material attachments? Because you realize they're a stumbling block on the path back to God. Just like no one wants to be diseased. No one wants cancer or any heart attack. So similarly, one should not desire to keep material attachment, because material attachment and spiritual advancement don't go together. If you want to make spiritual advancement, you have to pay the price. When Sanatana Goswami gave the touchstone to that Brahmin, and when that Brahmin realized that there was something more valuable than the touchstone, he came to Sanatana Goswami and said, please give me that thing which is more valuable than the touchstone. And what did Sanatana Goswami say? I'll give you that valuable thing, but only after you throw the touchstone away. He didn't say, take this valuable thing and keep the touchstone in your pocket. So similarly, if you want to make spiritual advancement, you have to throw out your material desires. To give up material desires is not easy. We acknowledge that. But if you take shelter of the process of the devotional service, then you will be able to purify your impure desires. And with purified desires, purified heart, purified mind, you will be able to make spiritual advancement. So on the spiritual path, we should always remember Rupa Goswami's statement, accept everything favorable for spiritual advancement, reject everything unfavorable for spiritual advancement. If this will be your guiding principle, then all of you will succeed spiritually. It's easier to follow Krishna than forget Krishna. It is easier to ignore Maya than to flirt with Maya. But unfortunately, we don't always realize that. So we hope that all of you who are accepting initiation today will take spiritual life seriously. Please make an attempt to avoid the 10 offenses. And there is one more offense, the 11th offense. Inattentive chanting of the holy names of Krishna. Don't be inattentive while chanting the holy names of Krishna. You must understand the holy name of Krishna is non-different from Krishna. So when you're chanting the holy names, be fully alert. Don't fall asleep while chanting. Don't do 10 other things while doing your japa. Just like when eating prasad, you like to concentrate on your prasad. If you're eating prasad, especially if you're eating tasty prasad and someone comes to talk to you, what do you tell him? Oh, come later. Let me at least finish my prasad. So if somebody comes to talk to you while you're doing your japa, tell him, Prabhuji, please come to me after I finish my japa. And as far as possible, it is preferable to do your japa in the midst of other devotees. It's not necessary that to do japa you have to go and sit all alone in your room or go to a completely secluded place where you alone can hear your holy name. If you are in the association of devotees and if you fall asleep, someone will wake you up. But if you're all alone and you fall asleep, you'll keep sleeping, even miss the Bhagavatam class, and just get up in time for prasad. So in attentive chanting, it's very important. When you're not chanting attentively, you're insulting Krishna. You're telling Krishna, I don't care for you. Sleep is more attractive to me. The more respect you show to the holy name, the more spiritual advancement you will make. And the more you'll be able to kick Maya. And the more inattentive we are to the holy name, the more our taste for Maya will remain. The whole purpose of Krishna consciousness is to give up your taste for Maya. What did Rupa Goswami say? Kamadinam katina palita dhurni desa. I have been trying to satisfy my senses since time immemorial, but there is no satisfaction. So you don't have to experiment with sense enjoyment to come to this realization and conclusion. Just like you don't drink poison to come to the realization poison will kill you. You don't stand on the highway in front of a speeding car to make sure that the car is going to kill you. Similarly, through the hearing process, you know the sense enjoyment is poison. So give it up. Don't hesitate. Rupa Goswami says, just like when one is diseased, especially from jaundice, one cannot appreciate the sweetness of sugarcane. But then as you recover from the disease, you appreciate the sweetness more and more. So as we recover from the disease of sense enjoyment, Krishna will become more beautiful. The holy name will become so attractive, and the instructions of the spiritual master will appear more realistic. Just like when one is intoxicated, nothing makes sense. Similarly, when we are intoxicated materially, the spiritual philosophy doesn't make much sense. So we hope that all of you who are accepting initiation today will take this initiation seriously and take the instructions seriously. Dedicate yourselves to the preaching mission of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Always remember that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared not just to reclaim you, but to reclaim the entire human planet. And the spiritual master's mission is to help Chaitanya Mahaprabhu achieve his goal. So it will be very nice if all of you who are accepting initiation on this auspicious day of Lord Nrsimhadev act in the spirit. Act like a lion. Lord Nrsimhadev, half man, half lion. Act like a lion when it comes to preaching Krishna consciousness. If you act like a lion while preaching, then your preaching will have great effect. And when you're dealing with Vaishnavas, behave like a lamb. Be gentle, humble. Always understand the importance of reading these books of Prabhupada and distributing these books. And all devotees who take initiation, they should also regularly read these books. Prabhupada said, If we don't read these books, if we just distribute them, and somebody on the street will ask you, what's inside these books? You'll say, I don't know. Then he will not be inspired to buy. Chant and read, and that will give you strength to go on with Lord Chaitanya's mission. The spiritual master has no new mission. His mission is just to keep Lord Chaitanya's mission in the forefront. And Prabhupada emphasized that if we put emphasis on book distribution, then that will help achieve Lord Chaitanya's mission. So that should be our guiding principle, how to give people this transcendental knowledge so that they can become happy. And those who are accepting Brahmin initiation, they must understand the qualities of a Brahmana, which are mentioned in the 18th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. Shamodamutapo socham shanti rajam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma svabhakajam. The Brahmin must be tolerant. He must have self-control. He must have wisdom. He should be peaceful. So all these qualities come by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra. That is why in our Krishna conscious movement, we give Brahmin initiation after one has chanted the holy name at least for 1 year and passed a test which shows that he has a certain amount of basic spiritual knowledge. So take this seriously. So take these guidelines seriously and you will never get lost. So now we will call the names and hand out the beads. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare